Happy Friday, guys! So, wanting to pop on today, we are talking triggers. Lots of triggers in our lives. Some good, some bad. Today we are talking money triggers. And specifically, we are talking spending triggers. And this can relate to your personal life, this can relate to your business, this can kind of relate in all aspects, but what I'm talking about today is spontaneous spending, emotional spending. So as I say that and as you hear that, I want you to take a minute and I want you to kind of think about a situation recently where you have spent based on emotion or spontaneous spending, where you may have had a little bit of a regret afterwards or a what the heck was I thinking moment after that. So just take a moment and think about, where that spontaneous spending moment may have happened for you. Thanks for hopping on, guys. I appreciate it. So there are two types of spending triggers for us. There is positive spending triggers and there's negative spending triggers. And we all have both. It's just a matter, there's a lot that goes in here with your money mindset and with your health and relationship with money about what types of triggers you allow to come in and actually, so you have the trigger, but what do you actually allow that trigger to result in? Are you taking an action on that trigger or are you just acknowledging it and then ignoring it and moving past? So there are these money triggers. And so what I want to take a look at is a couple common ones that we see. And these can, honestly, any of these reasonings that can trigger you to spend money, there's good and bad aspects to both of them in the most case. But there are these triggers, and I just want you to be aware of these in not only your personal spending, but also your business spending and budgeting as well. So unexpected money is probably the biggest reason that will cause spontaneous or emotional spending for someone. Hey, Carrie, good morning. So let's say that you have a sale in your business that you weren't expecting, or you have, tax time. It is tax time, people. Tax refunds is probably the biggest cause of spontaneous and emotional spending that there ever is. Let's face it, you've been putting this money to the IRS, paying it in through either estimates or through your withholding all year long, and at the end of the year you get this check and it's like, oh, I have all this free money. Well, first off, it's not free, guys. It was yours to begin with. You're just getting it back, and there are better ways to budget around that. Trust me, and if you need help on that, we can talk. But when you get that refund check, so many people go out and they put a down payment on a new car. They go on a shopping spree. They take a random vacation. They do all sorts of spontaneous, emotional things with this money. And that's not a bad thing. May not be a good thing. It really depends on your situation. But that is just one common trigger that I wanted to point out today as we're talking about this. Another one is when we hit a big milestone or an accomplishment, whatever that may be. And this can absolutely be a good thing, and I'm absolutely a fan of doing this once in a while for yourself. But you've got to be strategic about it. So you can't just say, oh, I closed a sale today, I'm going to go celebrate and I'm going to go get XYZ. There has to be a goal and then a reward. And so let's say that your goal is, I'm going to have the biggest month in March that I've ever had in my business. And that number is X. And when I hit that number, this is my reward. And there is a specific reward in mind. So it's not just I'm going to reward myself, and that reward can range from $10 to a few $1,000s. Have a specific reward based on that goal that is financially manageable for you. So celebrating these big wins and these huge accomplishments and milestones, that can cause some spontaneous and emotional spending. But on the flip side there, you can eliminate the spontaneous aspect of it and bring in some intentionality to it and make it intentional emotional spend based on your win. Another trigger that we see is being overworked. You're working a whole lot of hours, you're working long days, weekends, you haven't had a day off in weeks, months, whatever the case is for you. And you're like, you know what? I deserve this. And heck yeah, we deserve it. But again, be intentional with it. make sure that you know, okay, like for me, crazy time right now. There's very rarely a day off, and when there is, it's usually not really a day off, it's just a day at home with the kids working from there. So, be intentional with it. I know that I have 3.5 months of absolute insanity. And I know that when it's done, I'm going to feel very overworked, and by golly, I deserve a reward for getting through it. So, make sure there's some intentionality there as well. Stress. Stress is a huge money trigger in good ways and bad ways. Stress, there is a very definitive line for people, I believe. And when you're stressed, you're going to fall on one side or the other. There's not really a back and forth with this one. I've seen people when they are stressed about money that they just start pounding the ground and they do everything they have to get to those goals and make things happen. And on the other side, there are people who get stressed and they're like, screw it. It's not happening anyway, so I'm just going to go spend this money. So, positive, negative there on both sides of it. So just make sure you're aware of that as well. Having a good deal. There is always a good deal. How many times as women, especially ladies, I'm calling us up out here. Good morning, Jasmine. Hey, Jeannie, thanks for hopping on. Calling us women out here. How many times do we go to the store and we're like, but those amazing shoes were on sale. I saved 30%. Yeah? Show me some love right now if you do that, because I think as women we've all done that. So, emotional spending and spontaneous spending because it was on sale, because there was a deal. Sometimes, yes, a deal is a deal, but a deal is not a deal if you weren't going to spend the money anyways. So, just be aware of those as well. So, the last trigger I want to kind of touch on today is FOMO. That amazingly horrible, sometimes wonderful fear of missing out. Sometimes, especially I feel as entrepreneurs and business owners, we have this fear of missing out on the next big thing, the next best training, the next amazing situation, the next amazing opportunity. And so we just spend and spend and spend and spend and spend, and it becomes out of control. And before you know it, we don't have any money in the bank to spend anymore. So, don't let the fear of missing out cause you to spend money where you wouldn't have spent it. Don't let other people's opinions on something create a situation for you where you spend money that you don't think you really need in your business. Whether that be a training, whether that be a book, whatever it is, make sure that your fear of missing out is actually a necessity for you, and that you're not just spending money because Susie did it, because Johnny did it. Make sure it's because you want to do it. So, my one suggestion when it comes to triggers around spontaneous and emotional spending, whether it is in your life or in your business, there's one piece of advice that I was given, I don't even remember how long ago. And honestly, it was from my grandpa. But one piece of advice, and it is, when you have a big purchase looming ahead of you, or a big investment looming ahead of you, set yourself a time window and do it now. Do it today when you're watching this video. Don't do it when the opportunity comes up. Because if you've got this amazing training you want to take and it's going to cost you $5,000 and you're sitting there on the spot and the business coach or the person that's doing the training is saying, well, I only have 3 spots left and I need a decision now. You can't say, well, I need an hour at that point. You need to have this set ahead of time. Mine's 24 hours. If I decide I want something and I decide that I'm going to go for it, I do not pull my card out of my wallet for 24 hours. 24 hours is my time limit, that if I have a big investment, and I also have a dollar amount, it's over $500. If I want to spend more than $500, I have to give myself 24 hours to contemplate it. What seems like an amazing idea this morning may not by this afternoon. What seems like an amazing idea tonight may not be as great of an opportunity by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. So give yourself some time to process it through, to get out of the emotional state with the money and get into a mental state of actually looking at the pros and cons of spending that money there. So just give yourself a window, set a time frame, set a dollar limit, and just take a look at those things. Spontaneous and emotional spending can sink us in personal and business finances quicker than almost anything else can. So just make sure that you're aware of those triggers. Unexpected income coming in, big accomplishments, milestones, wins that you want to celebrate, being overworked, telling yourself you deserve it, stress, having a good deal. Remember, a good deal is not a good deal if you weren't going to spend the money anyways, and FOMO. Just make sure you're aware of these. I challenge you to take a moment and sit down and look at your triggers around these and find out, is this a good trigger? Is this a bad trigger for me? What type of situation am I putting myself in here? Be aware of them, but just know that spontaneous spending can sink your business a whole heck of a lot quicker than intentional spending. Just know where your money's going, guys. That is our Finance Friday for today. I hope everybody has an amazing rest of your day. If you would like to learn some more about intentional spending in your business, I'd love to have you reach out to me. Drop me a comment below. If you're catching the replay, drop in below that you're on the replay and let me know where you're catching it from. I love to be able to thank you guys for popping on. Have a great Friday, guys.